So today let us do some problems on our so far covered syllabus. Okay, so first I have taken a problem on our so called slip. Okay, so let us see the problem. A 3-phase induction motor is wound for 4 poles. Okay, a 3-phase induction motor is wound for 4 poles. Okay, and supplied from 50 Hz system. Okay, the frequency of the system is 50 Hz, and what we are going to find is then calculate synchronous speed. Second one is the speed, the rotor speed when slip is 4%, and the third one is rotor frequency when rotor runs at the speed of 600 rpm. Okay, so first of all, whenever you are going to solve a problem, you must write down two things. First one is given data. So what is the given data? What is the data given? A 3-phase induction motor is wound for 4 poles. That means number of poles is 4. Okay, and the supply frequency is 50 Hz. So my supply frequency is 50 Hz. Then I have to calculate. Next, after given data, you need to write. So after given data, you need to write what is to be found. So I have to find, first one is synchronous speed. Okay, and second one is rotor speed at slip is 4%. This is my second question, and the third question is rotor frequency when rotor runs at 600 rpm. So my rotor frequency at rotor speed is 600 rpm. So this is the data, this is what I am going to find. Okay, so let us find out one by one. So our synchronous speed, first one I am going to find out the synchronous speed. So we have a expression for synchronous speed which equal to 120 times supply frequency by number of poles. Okay, that is the expression for synchronous speed. So let us substitute the values here, which equal to 120 into our supply frequency is 50 Hz here. So 50 Hz by number of poles is 4. Okay, you can get it as 6000 by 4 equal to 1500 rpm. So I have obtained the first question. So my synchronous speed is 1500 rpm. Here 1500 rpm. I have obtained the first question. Next, second question is when rotor speed when slip is 4%. That means we have to find out the rotor speed NR at slip is 4%. That means we have a relation for rotor speed and synchronous speed and slip, that is NR equal to Ns into 1 minus S. Okay, this is the expression we have for rotor speed. That means Ns is 1500 here minus slip is 0.04. 4% means 0.04 divided by 100, right? So 0.04, which equal to around 1440 rpm. Okay, my rotor speed is around 1440 rpm. So I get the answer as 1440 rpm. Here you can see our rotor speed is less than synchronous speed by slip speed. Okay, and the third one, rotor frequency when the rotor speed is 1600 rpm. That means we have expression for rotor frequency, that is under running condition it is S times supply frequency, right? Our rotor frequency is S times supply frequency. So we need to find the slip. We got already our supply frequency, but we need to get slip. So what is slip? Slip is nothing but synchronous speed minus rotor speed by synchronous speed. So he has given the rotor speed and we got the synchronous speed in the first question, that is. So I am going to find out the slip here by substituting the NR which is given in the third question, 1500. Okay, so what we left with, that is 900 by 1500, which equal to 3 times 5 times 3 by 5, which equal to 0.6, right? 0.6. So our slip is 0.6 here. So I am going to substitute this slip in the rotor frequency expression. So I will get the rotor frequency as 30 Hz. Okay, our rotor frequency is 30 Hz. FR is 30 Hz. Okay. So this is a solution. So we actually need to remember these formulas, then only it is easy to solve the problems. Okay, so you have to remember these formulas, then only it is easy. So first one is synchronous speed, that is Ns equal to 120 F by P. F is supply frequency and P is number of poles of our machine. And the second one is the rotor speed when slip is 4%. So we have a relation for rotor speed whenever we have synchronous speed and slip. Okay, we have synchronous speed as 1500 and I have our slip as 0.04, which is given. And the third one is rotor frequency, which is S times supply frequency, and he has mentioned a rotor speed which is 600. So I have to find out the slip at that speed. So I can get the slip at that speed which is 600 rpm. So I got the slip as 0.6. Whenever I substitute 0.6 into 50, I will get rotor frequency. Okay, so this is the problem for slip. Okay, let us do some more problem. So let us take another problem on our rotor circuit of our slip ring induction motor. So here the problem is a 3-phase induction motor having a star connected rotor. So this is my star connected rotor. Okay, I already told you the rotor of our induction motor is always connected in star, whether the stator is connected in star or delta. Okay, that means the stator can be connected in star or delta, but rotor should be connected in star only. So this is my stator circuit, this is my rotor circuit of our induction machine. Okay, the rotor must be connected in star, whether the stator is connected in delta or star. Okay, so the rotor is star connected here, and it has a induced EMF of 80 volts between slip rings. That means you can see the red color component are the red color components are slip rings here. That means we have extension for our rotor circuit in the slip ring induction motor. So these are through slip rings. Okay, so the voltage between slip rings is 80 volts given. That means this is the voltage between slip rings which is 80 volts. That means this is line to line voltage. That means we have the voltage between line to line given as 80 volts. The voltage line to line per phase given as 80 volts. Okay, so whenever a value given in the question is always in the line to line only, not per phase. So in order to perform the calculation, we need to convert it into per phase. We need to convert it into phase value. So how can we convert it? Because we have the line voltage, we can convert it into phase voltage by V phase equal to VL by root 3, right? Because it is star, because the rotor is star connected, I can write the V phase, the phase voltage between the one single line and the neutral point is V phase. V phase equal to line voltage by root 3, that will equal to 46.2 volts here. Okay, so I converted the line voltage between the slip rings to phase voltage. Okay, so this is my 80 volts between the slip rings. Between the slip rings is line to line voltage. Okay, and it stands still on open circuit condition. Okay, the rotor impedance is 1 plus 4j. That means the rotor impedance R2 plus jx2. This is my given data. Okay, this is my given data. I am writing down the given data. So R2 plus jx2 is 1 plus j4. Okay, then calculate the current per phase and power factor. So what do we need to find? To be find first one is current, rotor current. Second one is rotor current per phase. Second one is power factor. Okay, the rotor power factor which is given by cos theta 2 equal to R2 by Z2. So if we can find the R2 and Z2, we can find out the rotor power factor. So here we need to find out the rotor current and rotor power factor at two different conditions. So first one is slip rings are short circuited. When slip rings are short circuited, so I need to find out the rotor current and rotor power factor when our slip rings are short circuited. That means I am taking the first condition, slip rings are short circuited. That means I am going to short circuit the slip rings. Okay, so this is my rotor circuit now. Okay, so how can I find out the rotor current? Rotor current can be found out by I2 per phase equal to E2 per phase by rotor impedance Z2 per phase. Okay, so what is my rotor impedance here? Which is, because we are not connecting any external resistance through the slip rings, so the rotor resistance will be 1 ohm and rotor reactance will be 4 ohm per phase. That means the rotor impedance will be 1 plus J4. If I take the magnitude, that will be 1 square plus 4 square, so that will result in 4.12 ohm. This is my rotor impedance when the slip rings are short circuited. Okay, so I can find out the rotor current by substituting the per phase EMF, that is 46.2 by rotor impedance, that is 4.12. So the rotor current is around 11.2 ampere. This is my rotor current per phase at slip rings are short circuited, and my rotor power factor cos theta 2 can be written as R2 by Z2. So I can substitute the R2 as 1 and Z2 as 4.12. So the power factor will be 0.243. This is my power factor value. which is under starting condition or standstill condition. That means the power factor under starting condition is very low for induction machine. So what did we find? We convert the line voltage given between the slip rings to phase voltage first, which can be converted because it is star connected rotor. We can have the phase voltage by equal to line voltage by root 3, that is equal to 46.2, and we have the impedance of the rotor, that is R2 plus JX2, which is equal to 1 plus J4. Okay, and we have to find out the rotor current and rotor power factor at two conditions. When first condition is slip rings are short circuited. So I have found the slip rings are short circuited. So let us find the slip rings are connected to a star connected stereo star. So let us find the I2 and power factor when slip rings are connected to a star connected rheostat of 3 ohm per phase. That means I am going to do the second problem, that is D. Okay, so I am going to connect a star connected rheostat to the slip rings. That means I am going to connect a star connected rheostat. Okay, here this is my rheostat. If I short circuit all the 3 terminals, this will be my short circuited. This is my star connected rheostat, and each and every phase is having 3 ohm resistance, 3 ohm per phase, right? This is 3 ohm. Okay, that means our external resistance is adding 3 ohm per phase of resistance to our rotor circuit. So as I earlier mentioned that our power factor and starting torque are directly proportional to rotor resistance. So if you increase the rotor resistance, our power factor and starting torque will also increase. We are going to see how the power factor will be improved. So I have added the external rheostat here. So now we have to find out the rotor current. Okay, so initially it was 1 ohm per phase. Now I have connected extra 3 ohms per phase. That means for each and every phase the resistance will become 4 ohms now, 1 plus 3. Okay, this is the change here, and the line voltage is similar, which is equal to 80 volts. So let us find out the Z2, which is equal to magnitude of 4 square plus 4 square, which is equal to 5.66 ohms. Okay, I have calculated the impedance of the rotor with increase in the rotor resistance. Okay, so I can find out the rotor current by substituting E2, which is equal to 46.2, and Z2, which is equal to 5.66. Okay, the rotor current will be around 46.2 by 5.66 equal to 8.16 amperes. So this is my rotor current when I connected 3 ohms of external resistance. Okay, let us find out the power factor. Okay, because the resistance has been changed, our power factor will also change. That means I can find out the rotor resistance by R2 by Z2. So RT is 4 ohms and Z2 is 5.66. The value will be around 0.707. Earlier it was 0.243. Now it is increased to 0.707. That means our rotor power factor has been increased a lot from 0.243 to 0.707 whenever we have added our external resistance of 3 ohms. That means our external resistance will improve the rotor power factor, which also improves the starting torque. You know the starting torque equation, E2 square R2 by starting torque proportional to E2 square R2 into R2 square plus X2 square, right? So our TST, starting torque, is directly proportional to rotor resistance. That means if you increase the rotor resistance, our starting torque will also increase. And here you can see our rotor power factor cos pi 2, cos theta 2 is also proportional to our rotor resistance. Whenever you increase the rotor resistance, our rotor power factor will also improve. Okay, so I have obtained the rotor current, which is 8.16, and rotor power factor, which is 0.707. So you can see the difference. Whenever we don't have any external resistance, the power factor is around 0.243 lagging, but now it is around, whenever I added external resistance, it is improved from 0.243 to 0.707. Okay, so we can improve the rotor resistance, we can improve the rotor power factor by adding external resistance in slip ring induction motor. This is one of the best advantages of our slip ring induction motor. Okay, so let us see another problem. So here we have another problem. Okay, let us see a 3-phase induction motor with star connected rotor has EMF of 120 volts between the slip rings. That means the given data is, we need to write the given data first, that is the EMF, rotor EMF between the slip rings is line to line voltage per phase, that is 120 volts. If we convert this to phase voltage, that is V phase per phase equal to 120 by root 3, so which is nearly equal to So let us see another problem, that is a three-phase induction motor with star connected rotor has let us see another problem. A three-phase induction motor with star connected rotor has EMF of 120 volts between the slip rings. That means we have line to line voltage of 120 volts in the rotor circuit. It is standstill condition when the stator is supplied with normal voltage. Okay, so the rotor impedance is given as 0.3 plus 1.5 ohm. Then we have to calculate the rotor current per phase when slip is 4% and the slip and the rotor current per phase when the rotor is developing maximum torque. So let us write down the given data. So given data is the line to line voltage in the rotor circuit, that is ER line to line is 120 here, E2 under standstill condition. Okay, and the rotor impedance which equal to Z2 equal to R2 plus Z2 equal to R2 plus JX2, which equal to 0.3 plus J times 1.5, which are all per phase values. Okay, so we need to find out the rotor current. Its slip is equal to 4%. So how can we find out the rotor current? That means to be find I2 per phase. First one is I2 per phase at slip equal to 0.04, and we have to find out the slip and the rotor current I2 per phase at torque is maximum when the rotor is developing maximum torque. Okay, these are the two conditions here. So in order to find out my I2 per phase, I need to get my rotor EMF ER by rotor impedance E3. Okay, under running condition our ER is different from our standstill rotor EMF. So how can we find out ER? ER is nothing but slip times our standstill rotor EMF. Okay, ER equal to S times E2. You already know this. Okay, our rotor EMF will be equal to slip times E2 under running condition. So I am going to find out the ER which equal to slip times. So I am going to find out the first answer, that is I2 per phase at slip equal to 0.04. Okay, so the slip is 0.04 here and the rotor EMF per phase is 120 times 120 by root 3. This is phase value. The given one is line to line voltage. Okay, we need to find the phase voltage. So slip times phase voltage of our rotor EMF, that will be equal to 2.77 volts. Okay, this is my rotor EMF at slip equal to 0.04. This is my rotor EMF at slip equal to 0.04. Okay, now let us find out the rotor impedance. So rotor impedance will also change, that means X2 will change, X2R will be S times X2. Under running condition our rotor leakage reactance will be S times X2, that means 0.04 times X2 given is 1.5, so which equal to 0.06 ohm. Okay, our ER rotor EMF and our rotor leakage reactance will be changing according to our slip. Okay, it is at slip equal to 0.04. This is my A. Okay, so I can find out the rotor current which equal to, so let me find out the Z2 here. Z2 equal to R2 square plus X2 square, Sx2 whole square under root. So that will be equal to 0.3. I am substituting the values here, whole square plus Sx2 whole square is 0.06 whole square, which equal to 0.306 ohms. Okay, this is my rotor impedance under running condition. This is my rotor current at slip equal to 0.04. Okay, so I am going to find out the rotor current which equal to ER is 2.77 and my Z2 which is 0.306. So my rotor current will be 9 amperes. Okay, my rotor current at the slip 0.04 is 9 amperes. So we have calculated the ER which is equal to S times E2 and X2R which is equal to S times X2. X2 and E2 are at standstill condition, ER and E2 are at running condition at slip value. Okay, we have to find out the ER and X2R whenever we are given slip. Okay, so I have found out the ER which equal to S times E2. The slip given is 0.04 in here, and I have to convert the line voltage to phase voltage. Okay, I have converted the line voltage to phase voltage by, because it is star connected, V phase equal to VL by root 3. Okay, this is my first option. Okay, let us find out the second option. Okay, here what he mentioned, we have to find out the slip and rotor current at rotor developing maximum torque. So under maximum torque condition we have the slip equal to S maximum equal to R2 by X2. Okay, the slip at maximum torque condition is slip max equal to R2 by X2. That means we have to find out the slip here, that is slip equal to R2 by X2, which equal to R2 is 0.3 given, okay, R2 is 0.3 plus 1.5 j times. So R2 is 0.3 and X2 is 1.5, the slip is around 0.2. Okay, the slip at maximum torque condition S max equal to 0.2 here. Okay, here the slip is 0.2 at a maximum torque condition. Okay, I am going to substitute the slip as S max equal to 0.2. So I am going to find out the ER, which equal to S times E2, and X2R, which equal to S times X2. I have to substitute the maximum torque, slip at maximum torque, that is S max here, S max. So that is 0.2 times 120 by root 3 will be my ER, and 0.2 into X2 is 1.5. This is my X2R. Okay, the values will be 13.86 volts is my rotor EMF, and 0.3 ohm is my rotor leakage reactance. Then I have to find out the rotor impedance Z2, so which equal to R2 square, which equal to 0.3 whole square, plus X2 square, which is also 0.3 whole square. Okay, I will be left with 0.42 ohm. 0.42 ohm. This is my rotor impedance. Okay, I substituted S equal to 0.2, that is the slip at maximum torque. Okay, so I can find out the rotor impedance, rotor current at slip at maximum torque condition equal to my rotor EMF, which equal to 13.86 by rotor impedance, which equal 0.42, which equal to around 33 amperes. Okay, so I have calculated the slip